And now I'm going to turn it over to our co-organizer, Dr. Stephen Shapiro, who will do the introductions and take it from there.
Thank you, Duncan. It's really my honor to be able to introduce our first guest, Nonie Darwish. As you know, you all know me. I'm a retired pediatric urologist. I took a wrong turn. I went to the right and ended up at the Tea Party. I'm also a veteran of foreign war, the Vietnam conflict.
Thank you.
So it makes me particularly interested in the message of our wonderful speakers today. Nonie Darwish is an Egyptian-American human rights activist and critic of Islam. She's the founder of Arabs for Israel and the director of Former Muslims United. Her latest book, which we're going to have a book signing at the end of our meeting, is The Devil We Don't Know. Now, Nonie was born a Muslim in Cairo, Egypt in 1949. Her family moved to Gaza in the 1950s, and her father was the first targeted death by Israelis. He became a martyr in Egypt, a shaheed, and Nonie was taught to blame the Israelis and pledge death to them. I'm going to leave it to Nonie to tell you how she went from growing up hating Israelis and wanting to kill them to become a Christian and emigrating to the United States. If you look over her list of books, you will see that she's devoted herself to educating non-Muslims about the dangers of Sharia law and Islam's authoritarian ideology that is trying to put us into the 7th century. That's the topic of our talk today, not the 7th century, but the Islamization of America and what that means to us. Now, Nonie has spoken on numerous college campuses in the United States and the United Kingdom. She's spoken to the U.S. Congress, the House of Lords, and the European Parliament. And now she's going to speak to us. So it's my extreme honor to present to you Nonie Darwish.
Thank you, Stephen. It's a pleasure to be here with Act for America. Is really you represent the patriots of today in America, and I'm really just always honored to meet members of Act for America. Brigitte is also a great lady that
We're going to tell them at the end.
Yeah.
We don't know that they're members of Act for America.
Oh, okay.
That's what
Not
we
all
want
of them,
to encourage.
But they came and would like to hear. A lot of people, of course, in the West are not familiar with Islam. I just want to give you an idea of how it feels to be a Muslim. In the West here, when you choose to be a Christian or a Jew or whatever you want to be, atheist even, this is a personal relationship with your faith, with your God, or with nothing, right? It's very personal. It's a choice. But being a Muslim in the Middle East is not a relationship with God. It's a forced contract with the state. And when you're born in any Muslim country, your birth certificate is stamped Muslim. You have no choice. Your parents have no choice to pick your religion. It is forced on your mother and father to make you a Muslim. So it is not a choice. And if you violate this command to become Muslim, because your mom and dad are Muslims, and by the way, there was a lawsuit in Egypt recently that was filed by a man whose wife was pregnant, and he wanted the child to become Christian. He wanted to choose a Christian name for the baby. This is real life lawsuits in Egypt. And just to give you an idea what it is to be a Muslim. He filed a lawsuit because he doesn't want his birth certificate to be stamped Muslim, and he doesn't want to call him Muhammad. He wants to call him George or Michael. Okay? But what happened is the court refused the father and the mother's demand for that kind of freedom. He was, the court and the judge said he is an enemy of the state because he doesn't want his child to be Muslim. So refusing to be a Muslim in the Islamic State is regarded as a political, you have become an enemy of the state. It's exactly equivalent in America to selling the secrets of America to the worst enemy to the communists during the Cold War with Russia. It is equivalent to that. And that's why they get away with putting them in prison and actually killing them, because they don't register the crime they are not allowing them to have freedom of religion. They don't register their crime is enemies of the state. They have committed a crime against the state. So it sounds to the West as being a political prisoner. And that is how they get away with this discrimination, that you have no freedom of religion, no freedom of thought, no freedom of speech, which is totally against the grain of our way of life. This alone should scare the West. Just by one fact about Islam. Put aside killing apostates. Put aside that they put you in jail when you say something critical of Muhammad. Put aside the right of the family to kill a daughter or a son because they are not good Muslims. The crimes and violations of human rights under Islam is staggering. I've written a book about Sharia Islamic law. And all the laws I mentioned they should scare the hell out of the West. And the West doesn't care. After 9/11, a lot of people were saying, why aren't the Arab Americans speaking? Why aren't people, the so-called good Muslims, why aren't they speaking in America? And here I am. Hello! I'm speaking! I started speaking right away after 9/11. The same people who complained about why aren't we speaking are now calling me Islamophobe. Why? Because in the West, in America, in Europe, they have associated any kind of criticism of a religion with being racist. They have cut the tongues of Americans. I don't understand what happened to America. No ideology, no religion should be immune from criticism. Who made this idea that criticizing a religion in America is racist? A religion is just a book. It's not a human being. I'm not critical of human beings. I'm critical of an ideology that has a very severe and very tyrannical legal system that you can practically put you to death for just speaking. And if I go to criticize that religion, the same people in the West who are saying, I'm liberal, I'm full of human rights and freedom, they are telling me, they are trying to shame me into silencing me. And these are people who are very educated. And it just staggers my mind. What happened to the West? They are so afraid of being called racists. Criticizing a religion is not racist. It's not just Islam. I can criticize any religion if they put me to death if I leave it. I think I have a right to do that. Islam has a fatwa of death on me already because I left it. In any Muslim country, I'd be killed, and the person who kills me will be a hero under Islamic law. And if I criticize that ideology, I'm an Islamophobe in the West. What happened to you? I thought you guys will protect me. What happened to our politicians who are saying there's nothing wrong with Sharia law? Why are you afraid of Islamic law? The New York Times had an article. Why fear Sharia?
Wow.
Come and ask me why, and I'll tell you why. Actually, if I'm not afraid of Sharia, I'll be crazy. I just want to give you a quote that was said by Teddy Roosevelt, who was born in 1858, died in 1919. And this is what he said about Islam. The 7th century Christians of Asia and Africa had trained themselves not to fight, whereas the Muslims were trained to fight. Christianity was saved in Europe solely because the people of Europe fought. Muslims were at the gates of Vienna, and they were stopped. They were killing people who went to the Holy Land. Muslims were killing Christians from Europe who went to the Holy Land to do pilgrimage in Bethlehem. And they were killing them. They were not returning to Europe. And that's why there was the Crusades. Not a lot of people know why there was the Crusades. They were trying to protect their people who are being slaughtered by the Muslims in the Holy Land of the Christians and the Jews. Why do we have an Arab-Israeli conflict? Do you think because Arabs have a shortage of land? Arab land is from Morocco all the way in northwest Africa, all the way. Islamic land is all the way to Pakistan and beyond. There is no shortage of land. Why are they insisting on taking this little area called Israel that you can hardly see on the map? Just think of it logically. Why are they so obsessed with destroying Israel? Why? Is it really over land? No. It's because the Prophet Muhammad wanted all Jews to be killed because he stole their religion. He stole some things of their religion and claimed it for himself and asked them to convert the tribes, the Jewish tribes in Medina, asked them to convert to Islam because I am your Messiah now, and they refused. And their punishment was the Prophet of Islam, the holy man called Mohammed. What did he do? He dug trenches around the Jewish tribe. For 2 days they dug trenches. And any Muslim who was with Muhammad who fled because he didn't want to kill the Jews, Muhammad cursed them and killed them actually as they were fleeing. And then to bribe the other followers to stay with Muhammad to accomplish his mission of killing that tribe. He said, if you stay with me and kill the Jews, you're going to go to heaven. If you die in the process, you're going to go to heaven, and you will have 72 virgins. And that's where the 72 virgins came from. It was a bribe to people to stay with him and fight and kill and destroy. And what? And the people of you who are going to survive, he was telling his fighters, the fighters who are going to survive are going to take their women as sexual slaves, their children as slaves, bring them up as Muslim slaves. And that's why probably if you go to Saudi Arabia, check the DNA there, it'll be like a quarter or a third Jewish. And so the soldiers had to be bribed or they were killed if they left Muhammad. He dug trenches and he spent 2 days beheading personally. The Prophet of Islam personally beheaded 800 to 900 Jewish males above puberty age. Beheading. He spent 2 days beheading them, 12 at a time. And it's all recorded in Islamic history. That's not Jewish history or Christian history in the Middle East. This is from Islamic books called Sirat Rasulullah in Arabic, the life story of Muhammad, written by Muslims, his own followers after he died. So I'm just quoting from their books. You know what happened? Is that after he killed all these men, Muhammad has his first pick of the woman, a sexual slave. Her name was Safiya. He killed her father, her brothers, her family, her husband. He took her as a sexual slave, and she stayed with him as his sexual slave till she died. Recorded in Islamic history, this Jewish woman, and all the children were slaves and converted by force to Islam. When this happened, when this atrocity happened, even by Arabian Peninsula standard, this was not holy. So what happened is that Muhammad actually felt he had to explain why he beheaded all these men. He had to explain it and make it at least a little moral. He had to put it in his Koran, and that's why he came up with a verse in the Quran that said that Jews are not really human. They are enemies of Allah. They are apes and pigs and enemies of Allah. I really didn't kill human. And that's why at his deathbed, he was a tortured man. Muhammad was a tortured man. He was not all there. And he actually commanded his followers, the Muslims, because he felt fake in front of the Jewish religion and the Christian religion. He felt fake, and he was fake. Islam is really, the number one enemy of Islam is the truth. And I'm trying to speak the truth, which upsets them. And it even makes the West uncomfortable. But we have to speak about it because we're going to destroy our culture. So that's why Muhammad told his followers, you have to kill Jews wherever you find them, and went to die and died. That was his deathbed commandment to his followers. He didn't die and telling his followers, go make this world a better place, like the Jewish people, that's how they feel. He didn't tell his followers, go be good people. No, he said, go kill the Jews wherever you find them. And what happened? After he died, the Arabian Peninsula is one of the poorest area of the whole Middle East. Arabian Peninsula, which is Saudi Arabia today, has no rivers, it's total desert, and northeast is Persia. Northwest is Egypt. Two of the greatest civilizations with great rivers and a lot of wealth, a lot of even beautiful women that these Arabian men wanted to go and conquer. So what did they do right after Muhammad died? They attacked those two great civilizations that were weakening because they were fighting each other. Egypt was part of the Byzantine Empire. Egypt was a Christian nation. One of the oldest Christian nations. For 600 years, Egypt was a Christian nation. And what happened? It was conquered, and there is what it reminds us. Teddy Roosevelt here was saying that the Christians of North Africa and the Middle East did not fight. They were attacked. Great civilizations like Egypt and Persia. These were great civilizations. And the Byzantine Empire in Turkey that enriched the world with their cultures were conquered by these Arab with one hand the sword, one hand the Quran, and Egypt's language was changed to Arabic in a very short time by the sword, and its religion was changed to Islam by the sword. The Persians were a little smarter because they kept their language. They have the same alphabet. I can read Persian, but I don't understand it. It's just like Latin. So the Persians left their language. But I'm giving you this example to show you that great civilizations, superpower, can be conquered by less developed barbarians. Egypt, this great civilization, for the last 1400 years, never saw its glory days again. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, great civilizations can be conquered from within, and the passage of time does not necessarily mean progress. If the most successful country is the oldest country, we'll see Egypt and Persia and Greece and Rome, the most successful civilization, and China. But they are not. Actually, the most successful civilization is America, which is the youngest. So the passage of time does not mean positive progress. It can mean old age and being senile as a society. So don't count that America in the future is going to be for sure better if we allow Islam to come in. No, it's not. It can be worse, much worse. Our children can inherit a culture that is very similar to what's happening in Chechnya today. Kosovo, the Muslims in India. What are they doing? What is Chechnya? What is Kosovo? All these are minority Muslims who moved in these areas hundreds of years ago. And this is Russia. There is a minority of Muslims there. And they lived in this area called Chechnya, and they don't want to live under the bigger country anymore. We want a separatist movement. We want our loyalty to be to Saudi Arabia and to the Islamic nation. We don't like your legal system. We want Sharia law. That's what the people in Chechnya are doing. And what are they doing? They're blowing up schools, blowing up theaters, and just recently they blew up something, a couple of things.
Train station.
Train station. So this is Chechnya. Kosovo, same thing. And stupid us, we go against the Serbs to prove to the Arab world, the Islamic world, we love you. Do they care about our love? They still call us the great Satan and Israel the little Satan. Why do they call us this way? Because we're not Muslim. It doesn't matter how we treat them. It doesn't matter how nice we are, actually to the contrary. The more we treat them good, the more we go to rescue them from themselves. Like in Iraq and in Syria, and we go to try to rescue them. Why? I don't understand why. When you have children, it's basic psychology. If you keep helping your kids, they will never learn their lesson. This is bare basic psychology. When you have Arabs fighting each other, let them fight it so they can understand who their real enemy is. But what does America do? They go on one side or the other to try to protect. Oh, we can't see them killing each other like that. And what happens at the end? We're the bad guy. Why? After 1973, there was an oil embargo against America by all of the Arab world in 1973. And what happened? I remember when I came to the States, December of 78. I remember there used to be people standing in line begging for 1 gallon of gasoline from the gas station. I have to run to do an errand. Please give me a gallon. And I'm sure some of you here, as old as I am, will remember these things. What did the United States government do after an oil embargo by the Arab world? Did they go drill, baby drill, and build refineries to be independent of Arab oil? No, they didn't. The American people said, okay, we're going to completely rely on you further, and we're not going to drill, and we're not going to build refineries because we care about the birds and the bees in our country. And we don't want the caribous to might be hurt in Alaska if we drill, and we're going to rely further on Arab oil. Here is our dollars. Get even more rich. Here, you Arabs, you wanted to conquer us with your dollars. Okay, we're going to allow you because we're so sure of ourselves. We're Americans. Do you think we're afraid of you? No. We need to protect our environment. They don't know that the system now of drilling for oil and refineries is very safe. Stupid Americans don't want to drill. Look at Saudi Arabia. The lifespan of the Saudis increased tremendously in Saudi Arabia after they started drilling. And guess what? The camels are alive and well. They are not dying from drilling. They are not dying from refineries. Because there is a way of doing it that's safe both for the animals, the environment, and the human beings. The Saudis have never lived a higher standard than since they actually started drilling for oil. But what do Americans do after an embargo of 73? They tell them, we're going to rely more on you, we love you. And at every turn, they want to save them and rescue them. And I don't know what they're trying to do, but why? We have more oil in America than all of them. And what do? We're at their mercy again. Why? Because they've already convinced 3/4 of the American people that drilling for oil is harmful for animals and the environment, which is a lie. We live in a world that is like a piece of sand in the universe. Earth is we're on a planet that is so tiny, that's spinning around itself, that there are so many dangers that naturally in our environment that we have no control over. We can have what is it? They call it those rocks that...
Meteor.
Huh?
Meteor.
Yeah, we can be hit by a meteor. It happened historically. We have to accept that we are not 100% safe-proof. If a human being is so arrogant to think it's in our hands to save the environment, you think you're God, and you're not. We are at risk. We live in a world that is not 100% proof for anything. And we have to take risks. And if the risk is drilling for oil, we have to take the risk. And when I watch on TV how some journalists are talking about drilling for oil like it's a crime against humanity, I am just disgusted. Because they are destroying. They are making us need Arabs more. And Arabs are thriving. They have no problem at all with their camels. The lifespan of an average Saudi now have multiplied since the drilling for oil. The Red Sea, there's a lot of drilling on the Red Sea. Just go check the resorts there, how gorgeous they are, and how beautiful the Red Sea is. Go check the Arabian Gulf, and go to Qatar, and all these Emirates there, and check the gorgeous beaches they have, and all the tourists from Europe who are going to enjoy that area, which is full of drilling. Okay, it can happen. If an accident happens, it's okay, clean it and continue. That's life. But what does the West do? The West is, I don't know if this is, what is it? What's wrong with the West? Is it self-destruction? Are you tired from taking care of yourselves? I don't know. I don't know. And it sickens me. I mean, is it okay for us to drill in Saudi Arabia and kill them? If what you think is you're killing them, is it okay to kill them and not us? I don't understand. There is nothing innovated yet to make us rely on Islamic countries that much. We don't have the solar thing done properly yet. It's not yet done. If it's done, wonderful. If it's done, the economy will move us in the right direction by nature. Because we naturally want to find innovations anyway. So why suppress oil? Why just do what you have to do at the moment, because nobody guarantees nothing. We can have a meteorite hit us and destroy a whole continent in 1 second. So we have to do what we have to do. We are not gods on earth. We're not God. And a lot of the people who are making us rely, unfortunately, on the Arab world or on the Islamic world, and allowing them to penetrate here in such huge numbers. And I just wrote an article about Obama's legacy, and it's not healthcare. A lot of people think that Obama's legacy is going to be healthcare. He did such a great job. No, it's not healthcare. Obama's legacy is going to be opening the door to the Islamic Trojan horse inside America. That's what Obama is doing. Unfortunately, Obama thinks he understands Islam because his father was a Muslim. And his father really, see, you have to understand, you have to be a Muslim to understand what Islam is. You have to be Obama's father was from Kenya, okay? He is just a regular Muslim like everybody else. If you go to the Muslim world, it's like I said, it's like a stamp on you called Muslim. He didn't practice anything. He was an alcoholic. He died in an accident from alcohol. And this is against Islam, so don't buy the idea that he's such a great Muslim. Neither was I when I was a Muslim, by the way. I'm not criticizing Obama's father. I'm just telling you the fact that neither was I when I was a Muslim. I was stamped a Muslim at birth and forbidden from trying to understand what Christianity is, or forbidden from touching a Bible, forbidden from knowing what a true religion is. And that's why I believe being a Muslim is equivalent to forbidding you from knowing true religion. Being a Muslim is forbidding you from knowing a true relationship with God, a free relationship with God. And unfortunately, our government now has been infiltrated by the Muslim Brotherhood. And they have convinced a large number of American people that if you criticize Islam, you're a racist. A lot of people are scared to criticize Islam because they associate it with being a racist. And it's not true. Islam is an ideology. By the way, I am not speaking against Muslim people. It's not the people. The problem is the number one victims of Islam are Muslims themselves. Look at Muslim countries. Do you want to live like that? Why are Muslims flocking to live in Judeo-Christian cultures? I don't see Judeo-Christians flocking to go live in Islamic cultures. Just use your mind. You obviously don't want to be like them. They want to be like you, but they come here and they want to build mosques to make you like them. there is a lot of envy in Islamic value system. It's based on a lot of envy. A lot of envy on the West, and they're unconscious of that envy, unfortunately. There is change happening in the Middle East. It's not all bad news. There's change going on. Finally, Egypt, which was only like 5-6 years ago, if you had made a survey, then there was a survey in Egypt about 5-6 years ago, before the first revolution, of what kind of law do you want to live under, and 75% of the Egyptians said we want to live under Sharia. Today, it's much less. It's the minority now who say they want to live under Sharia. Why? Because they woke up. They figured that Sharia law is oppressive when they had 1 year only of the Muslim Brotherhood rule. They figured it. But they should. Why don't they understand from the first place that Islam is tyrannical? Because Islam produces the most ignorant people on earth. For a fake ideology like Islam to thrive, you have to produce dumb citizens, uneducated citizens. And that doesn't mean that Middle Eastern people are dumb. By the way, some of the highest IQs I know are from the Middle East. So, but Islam dumbs down the citizens, because it forbids discussion, it forbids asking questions, it forbids your mind going anywhere other than what you're supposed to do. It's a tyranny. So here we are. They are changing. So in the Middle East, there is a movement now where they're starting to reject Islam. In Iran, but Islam, unfortunately, has been through that many times before. Islam is a rotation between rejection and acceptance constantly, and that's why they have so many revolutions. Look at Islamic countries. All the political system is based on revolutions, counter-revolutions, coup d'etats, assassinations. Egypt had the 1919 revolution. 1952 revolution. That was when I was a baby. And 1952 revolution, 2011 revolution, 2013 counter-revolution, and I bet you in a year or two there's going to be another revolution. Same thing with all these countries. If you check the history of any Islamic country, leaders all come out from after an assassination, after a coup d'etat, or some kind of violence. Why? Because the legal system in Islam allows it. Can you believe it? It's not illegal to have a revolution against the current elected president under Sharia law. Do you want this in your constitution? Are you tempted to follow some of the value systems of the Islamic countries? Can you believe what will happen to your way of life here in the West if you are tempted by saying all cultures are similar, all cultures are good, all religions are wonderful? They all are preaching the same thing, which is not true. All religions are not the same, and they don't produce the same society. They don't. Some religions destroy the fabric and they destroy the moral foundation of a society. And it leaves them unable to trust one another. Islam destroys trust between people. It's just like a tyranny. Just like in the Soviet Union, people used to whisper, they're scared of their neighbor knowing what they say. That's Islam. You know why? Because there are some laws that encourage a Muslim to kill another Muslim if he violates Islamic law. There are some murders that are allowed under Islam whereby a Muslim will not be prosecuted. And you wonder why there is something called honor killing in Islam? Here's an example. A Muslim, I'm quoting a law in Islam, a Muslim will not be prosecuted if he killed an apostate from Islam. Can you believe this? If you have a law in your Constitution of the United States of America saying that if you leave Christianity and an American who kills you will not be prosecuted because you left Christianity or because you left Judaism. That is a law in Islam. That's why I can never visit my country of origin. Because anybody on the street can kill me and will be a hero. Why can't we get it? I don't I keep saying this over and over, and the media doesn't get it, or they don't want to get it. It's just crazy. There's another law that says a Muslim head of state can come to power through seizure of power, meaning through force. Unquote. I'm quoting a law in Islam. What does it mean? It means that if a leader is viewed as not ruling by Sharia properly, anybody can assassinate him or have a coup d'etat against him and will be a hero. And mind you, this could be an elected leader. Can you believe if we have a law like that in our Constitution, are we going to have elections anymore? Why? Why bother have elections? If the man can be killed and be replaced by somebody else if he misbehaves in the eyes of someone. I mean, it's unbelievable. We've allowed so much penetration already. We've allowed so much penetration in our government. We are hiring, actually, in our government, Muslim Brotherhood members who are in Homeland Security, in the White House. We are firing from the military people who are standing up against the softening to Islam. They are being fired and replaced by people who say yes sir about Islam. We are teaching our kids in public schools that Islam is a religion of peace. In some public schools we are teaching actually that Muhammad is the messenger of God. Why? Why should American schools Americans are constantly crying, oh, separation of church and state? The same people who are crying separation of church and state are the same people who are teaching about the culture of Islam, and part of the class is telling them that Muslims believe that Muhammad is the messenger of God. Can you believe what the impact of something like that on a child in elementary school? And don't we see that a lot of people in the West who are converting to Islam go blow themselves up? This is the effect of what some converts to Islam are doing. It's we have to go back to common sense. We have to go back to our senses, and the West is really not doing Muslims a favor. Now Muslims in Egypt are against Obama because he was working with the Muslim Brotherhood like they are legitimate. And now they're calling Obama, he is a sympathizer of the terror group Muslim Brotherhood. And now they're calling the Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt a terrorist group. Because they actually killed and assassinated or attempted to kill and assassinate every Egyptian president since their inception. They've succeeded in assassinating the Egyptian Prime Minister in 1949. They attempted to assassinate Gamal Abdel Nasser in 1954. They succeeded in assassinating Anwar Sadat in 1979. And then they attempted to assassinate twice Mubarak. It's systematic. And our government was treating them like they're legitimate and they're fine. And finally, the Egyptians woke up and said, they're terrorists. So, yes, we can be penetrated, and we are already penetrated. We're already penetrated. And it's time for the West to wake up, because your value system that made America great is under a threat today. Thank you very much.
Wow. Give them a chance for some
For
questions.
yes.
Thank you very much. And everybody be burning questions.
Sure.
What is abrogation, and how will it help us understand the Quran and Muslims better?
Yeah, that's a good question, because a lot of times in the West, you see, under Sharia, a Muslim must lie. Not should lie or can lie, but he's obliged to lie if it's for the benefits of Islam. And not only lie, but slander also is not allowed, but it's recommended to make Islam look good. Okay? So what happened is, because Muhammad was such a confused man, he produced a book that's confused. So in the beginning, you open the Quran, and in one page it says, Islam, you are free to practice your religion. And the next page, kill anyone who leaves it. So what happened is, Muhammad, when he wrote the Quran, at the beginning he wanted to seduce people to it. So he started with expressing some positive things about the Quran. And then when he moved to Medina and became a warrior, he started preaching violence. And he started killing anyone who leaves Islam. He himself actually ordered the murder of a lot of people who left Islam and ran away from him. So the Muslims who inherited this book, it was illogical. And it was very obvious that the early surahs were very different from the later surahs. So how do they camouflage the embarrassment? They switch the surahs without the order of the chronological order. And then they say the old surahs, they are still good and words of God, but legally the later surahs have to abrogate the older surahs, because the later ones are the more legitimate ones.
So the latest ones are the literal word of God then?
Yeah, and the old ones were still the word of God, but Islam produces an illogical mind. When you're a Muslim, and this I was, and I really believed it. When you're a Muslim, you can incorporate two opposing ideas at the same time and feel perfectly comfortable with it. You will talk to a Muslim and they're sincere. He will tell you, Islam is a religion of peace. We are the most generous people. We do this and we do that. Okay? And he's very sincere. But he turns around, he sees a Jew, kill him, kill the Jew. And he kills the Jews and they cheer. And 9/11, they go in the street, cheer. You kill Jewish kids in the streets. You blow a bus full of Jewish kids, and they are celebrating and giving candy. And the same people, you sit with them, and they will swear that Islam is a religion of peace. And this is Islam. I was like that. I could not differentiate. Because when you have a book that's confused, you produce confused people. You want this ideology in your country?
Don't think so. How about a question here?
Yeah.
I read your Cruel and Unusual Punishment, and it seems like Islam is man-made mental illness.
Exactly.
And there was some evidence, I think, that Muhammad was a psychopath. He had seizures, different things. Now, in your book, you said that the one thing that could change things was that if the cleric would come out and remove the death for apostasy, because then the religion could evolve but then the clerics would lose the control.
Exactly.
So the
Islam would die.
only real option to leave the mental illness is to become an apostate and become Christian or something else. Is that, and there have been people, it's been interesting, there have been people I've been reading about in Saudi Arabia where you can't have a church who are having dreams about Jesus and converting.
Exactly.
And your colleague Amani Mustafa is reaching out. So what do you see happening? Do you see the clerics ever letting go of that control by removing
No,
the death?
because Islam will be exposed for what it is. It's a hard shell that has nothing inside. You open the shell and there's nothing. There's nothing.
It was just a fake
It's a
facade
fake-
for control
It's an-
to suck people in, right?
Yeah, it's an imposture religion. When Muhammad came to power, became a prophet, Christianity and Judaism were starting to penetrate the Arabian Peninsula. And Christianity was there for 700 years, and Judaism was maybe over 1,000 something years. So there were Jewish tribes inside of Arabia. The word Medina, which is a city north of Mecca, is a Jewish word. It's a Hebrew word. And it's still called Medina there, and they think it's Arabic. So what happened is when Muhammad, Christianity and Judaism started penetrating the Arabian Peninsula culture in the 7th century. The last place that this Judeo-Christian civilization penetrated was Arabia. The Arabian culture was a very different culture from, let's say, Egypt and Persia and the area of Turkey today. Very different. They were never conquered by the great conquerors like Alexander the Great, and all these conquerors conquered Asia Minor, Egypt and Persia. Nobody wanted to conquer Arabia. It had no wealth. It had no rivers. It had Bedouin tribes who were killing each other over a well of water. Nobody wanted to conquer Arabia, so they were very proud of their culture. They were the most, I don't know if anybody here understands the word ethnocentric, the most ethnocentric culture on earth is Arabian Peninsula, is Saudi Arabia. They're very proud of their culture. You think it's America and white people? Because white people actually are like, here, we're not racist. Come take our country. Come take welfare. Please, we're not racist. That's the white people.
Called Sharia, I think,
Yeah.
Arabic imperialism disguised
Exactly.
in the Trojan horse of the Islamic religion.
Exactly. So what happened when Muhammad used to have a condition of like a fit
Right.
since he was a baby, and his mom actually abandoned him. She gave him to a woman called Halima, like a foster, and she gave him back to her, and she told her he's possessed. So he used to have convulsions. So when he did that with his first wife told him, he told her, I'm crazy, and he attempted suicide. He thought he was crazy. So, you're not crazy. You're the Arab prophet. We're not going to be Muslims, Christians, and Jews like the imported religions. You are going to be the first Arab prophet. They were very proud. They wanted to create their own religion. So Islam came really, bottom line, as a rejection of the Judeo-Christian culture, because Arabia was a very, very hostile environment. Tribes killed each other over, like I said, an oil well, a water well. Your human rights existed only within your tribe. Outside your tribe, you have no human rights with the other tribe. You're a slave of the other tribe. Slavery still exists in Islam until today. So this culture comes, Christianity, to tell them, you can give the other cheek. If I give the other cheek to my neighbor tribe, they'll kill me. They'll make me a slave. So the idea of Christianity and Judaism, which Judaism, for instance, make this world a better place, justice to everybody equally without being just only to your own tribe. I can be giving the same rights to the outside tribe. If I do that, they'll slave me. So Judaism and Christianity were very fast for them to improve. And the only way Arabia had to survive is there was a rejection of this huge change by Judaism and Christianity. And Islam became the only way to preserve their own culture. Islam came as a rejection to the fast change that Christianity and Judaism was going to happen. And it's the pride of the Arab world. And that's why whenever they conquer any country, they want to conquer it to change their language and give... Sharia law is nothing but preserving Arabian Peninsula 7th century culture, the value system of Arabia.
Nonie, we're going to take one more question.
Sure.
And then Nonie's going to be here for the book signing, so you're going to have an opportunity to talk to her. Duncan.
Nonie, what do you think are the most dangerous trends for Islamization within America? We didn't go into talk in detail about it, but I know there was an example in Florida where a judge decided to use Sharia law in a case, which boggles my mind that they could even think of doing that. Are these where the major threats are, or what are the most dangerous areas for Islamization in America?
The most dangerous thing is that we are importing too many Muslims and too many mosques inside this country.
Is every mosque basically the Trojan horse?
I'll tell you what, a lot of people ask me, are all Muslims terrorists? Of course not. Are all Muslims? I'll tell you what, I judge the religion by what's written in the books. Whether the building is a building. But go into any mosque and open the books say, kill apostates. And all the books are the same. And the books say, command you to kill apostates. So whether the man who runs this mosque is a nicer man than the other, that is irrelevant. The book itself is defective. So we're allowing high immigration from Muslim countries who are using this opportunity to conquer us from within. And we are opening, we in the West are so naive, we're not taking the example of Chechnya, and Kosovo, and India. India, millions and millions of Indians were, when they were conquered by Muslims, were killed. And their temples were converted to mosques. Same thing everywhere. Even inside Israel, when the Arabs conquered Jerusalem, what did they do? They built a mosque on top of the temple, the Solomon Temple. And that's why we have an Arab-Israeli conflict. What did they do after 9/11? They bought a piece of land next to Ground Zero and they want to build a mosque. Don't you read the writings on the wall? It's the same thing over and over. It's the same strategy, but we in America think we're immune. We are so. Can I just take her question?
Take hers and then
thank you.
Yeah,
I just want to know, what can we do?
Yeah. What can we do? We have to speak openly. Every one of you can write an article and send it. Every one of you can send articles or...
I was going to say, I've had women's groups reading Nonie's books. I suggest I give them to people as gifts because that Cruel and Unusual, I actually have copies in the trunk of my car and loan them out to people.
Yeah.
And mother-daughter book groups are reading them.
Here I am. I put my life on the line by saying what I'm saying. I'm under a death threat. But I do it because I feel America is giving me so much. You don't know how I lived when I was in Egypt. If I was still living in Egypt, I'd be so, I could be dead by now. America has given me so much. When I moved to this country, I couldn't believe myself with the freedom. You have to live in tyranny in order to value the freedom you have here.
Right.
I was so, and I was even from an upper class, a wealthier class. I mean, can you imagine the poorer people in Egypt that were suffering more than I was? I had a horrible life under Islam. And coming here, just the idea that I'm equal to a man, It took me years to get it. When I first came here, just to conclude, I was walking in the hallway of where I was working. And as a new immigrant, I was reading everything. So there was on the wall something written, so I was reading it. I want to learn everything about America. And it says, this institution does not discriminate in hiring on the basis of race, gender, national background, or religion. And I'm like, no discrimination based on gender? Wow. And based on race, I'm not exactly a blonde. I mean, I'm olive skin. Thank you. So you're not going to discriminate because I'm a woman? Because in Egypt, in every Muslim country, the legal system treats you, has laws for you if you're a man, different from if you're a woman. You're discriminated against if you're a Muslim or non-Muslim. Slavery is legal under Islamic law. And it drives me crazy to see African Americans convert to Islam. How can they convert to the religion that enslaved them? Because they don't read Arabic, they don't open the Quran and really see that Muhammad says, I can marry up to 4 wives in addition to my sexual slave women. In the Quran.
Wow.
Nonie, thank you so much.